James, what a cracking Spanish Grand Prix, exciting right to the end. Let's go towards the beginning of the race using the pure pit wall. And the first thing to note is that early stop from Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, very early. So he was in a bit of a crunch situation. He pulled a very good gap at the beginning of the race relative to Lewis. Lewis worked extremely hard to try and really close that down as much as possible. And then we got ourselves into lap 14 into a bit of a situation. We just managed to get within the range that potentially, if we wanted to, we could undercut him. Very, very marginal call. And you would drop out behind Daniel Ricciardo as well, so you have to overtake him on track. And what we thought at the time is, let's try and create a little bit of pressure, see if we can bring Vettel in. So we used wording with Lewis, make sure he was pushing as hard as he could, close the gap up to it, in the hope really that Ferrari reacted to that. They came in with Sebastian, and at that point, Sebastian did an incredible move on Ricciardo. If he didn't get him on that straight, we would have come in the next lap and been just ahead. It was within a tenth of a second on the overcut, but Seb did a great job, got through, and that really changed the race from then onwards.
Once Sebastian had cleared Daniel Ricciardo, he then came up behind Valtteri. How important was the role that Valtteri played in the race?
It was very significant. You saw in this race that it was tenths or hundredths even that separated Lewis and Vettel after the stop. So everything added up on the way through. And Valtteri did a great job. He was able to sustain Sebastian behind him for a few laps, which allowed Lewis really to maximise his opportunity on that offset strategy. And for Valtteri, we're considering doing a one-stop for him, because in his own right, he could have been racing Sebastian towards the end of the race. He was by himself in third. He wasn't under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo, so he did a great job, a really fantastic job, and did contribute towards the win on Sunday.
We see Lewis coming in to stop here and Daniel Ricciardo taking on the medium as well. Not many people taking the medium for the second stint. What led you to take that decision?
The medium tyre was quite a bit offset in performance relative to the soft tyre, but you have to run it. You have to run both compounds in the race under the regulations. Once we'd missed that overcut range with Sebastian, the next opportunity became at the end of the race. If I took the same tyres as Sebastian, I can never create enough delta in order to be able to overtake later on. So taking the medium tyre was really a no-brainer at that point in time. We need to offset ourselves. We need to create opportunity to win the race. The same tyres simply would not have created that.
We can see here on the pure pit wall the virtual safety car. A lot of teams bringing their drivers in early on during that window, but you waited. Why was that?
Virtual safety cars are quite different to safety cars, in as much as with a virtual safety car, the gaps never change. So it doesn't matter whether you pit on the first lap or the second lap or even the third lap, as you saw in that circumstance, because you'll still end up in the same position. However, what does make a difference is if I pitted straight away, as these other teams did, Sebastian could have reacted the very next lap. And it's a stalemate. He's already got me at that point in time. We're still going to be 7 seconds to 8 seconds behind him on track, but we'll now be on the soft tyre, which is going to be a little bit difficult to get that to the end of the race and overtake him as well at the same time. The Nirvana situation here is we're able to stop and he isn't. So you have to force that sort of situation. You have to try and predict when that virtual safety car is going to end and maximise that opportunity. And as he went round and he didn't take that virtual safety car opportunity, I knew that there was a chance on the table. And we have a team now, a huge amounts of support behind the scenes that really contribute towards this, that take the load off on understanding what's going on, and it's a sounding board to work with. And that team's immensely strong now. And with their support, we're able to understand all the situations that go through, talk it through, evaluate it. And part of it is just really guesswork and luck to a certain extent. You've got to try and predict when a virtual safety car is going to end. And we got it within 5 seconds. It worked out absolutely brilliantly.
So you got it right. Lewis able to pit under the virtual safety car conditions, and then Sebastian under green flag conditions.
Absolutely. So a virtual safety car, because everyone's driving slowly, you gain in the pit lane. Sebastian didn't have that benefit. He was still on track at that point in time, and they reacted immediately to what we had. We were straight onto the radio to Lewis, asked him to give everything on that outlap, and he did. And it was extremely close. We were within a tenth of a second as we went into turn one. As you saw, 2 cars side by side. Just a little bit more would have done it, but it created such a dramatic race. Lewis, from that point onwards, was in a situation where he was on the better tyres and he put Vettel under pressure until such point as he got through.
Here we can see that the second Petronas green line has dropped off, Valtteri retiring. A very bittersweet day for the team.
Absolutely. I mean, this is really one of our worst nightmares. This championship will be decided by everything, by operations, by strategy, by the drivers, and by reliability. And on a day like, unfortunately, Sunday, we ended up in a situation where one of our 2 cars missed out on 15 points. It hinders his driver's championship chances, and it hinders the team's chance of the Constructors' Championship. We did everything for Valtteri that weekend. We tried to get him back into the race on things, and it's just unfortunate. It's motor racing, it becomes a part of it, but a real shame. It was a fantastic result with the win, but really tarnished by the fact that one of our 2 cars wasn't at the finish line with him.
James, if we look at the spread of strategies for the top 10, it seems like there was a variety available right from the very start, with Kvyat pitting early on to get rid of the mediums.
Absolutely. I mean, this in itself is an interesting example. Pitting on the mediums, going around, taking the soft tyre, taking a second soft tyre to the end. Effectively a one-stop race, really, on two softs. The medium a little bit more offset. It worked out very, very well for him. But just one inside that is here, Pascal. Pascal did a great job. One stopped the race. Really good job by him, held up a lot of cars. He had a penalty, unfortunately, for crossing the line on pit lane entry, but he did a really good job finishing 8th overall in the race. Then you've got most of the teams really doing the traditional soft, medium two-stop race. And as we go forward, you can see Ricciardo and ourselves running that medium in the middle. But even there was a plan C on the table. You would have heard Ferrari talk about it. That was a 3-stop. So in one race, we had a 1, 2 and a 3, and the 3-stop may have worked right at the end, just taking the soft tyre back off the medium to try and attack at the end of the race.
If we look up here as well, we've got fastest pit lane times, Hamilton and Bottas right at the top. I guess that's where you want to be every race, but what an amazing contribution that played.
They did a great job. That Lewis one especially was just at the right time. That was the key stop we needed to make everything work. The boys did a really good job again in the pit lane. Valtteri just behind, and their work and consistency is paying off. They practice so much across a race weekend, 50 to 100 times. They're just practicing their job, and that's the result of it.
And if we look down in the bottom right-hand corner, total overtakes for a year when people are expecting no overtakes. We've got 36 in total, 18 with DRS and 2 for the lead, James.
Absolutely. So the interesting thing here, we were worried about overtaking to a certain extent, as we discussed before, less so for myself. When you get a little bit of tyre degradation in the right conditions, you get overtaking. Now the DRS zone was extended just a little bit for this event. The effects were positive overall for me. It just led to a little bit more overtaking. But the fact is, what you saw there, especially with Sebastian against Ricciardo, Lewis against Vettel, that's proper overtaking. That was real commitment and a great job by both of them.
What a great race, James. Thanks so much.
Thank you.